Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at sharing two books that I got from Editions Matière, I think is how you pronounce the company name. I have done another video where I think I showed 3 or 4 of their works all at once. Really, really love what this company's doing. It's a French company, but the majority of the books that I'm getting from them, at least, they're publishing stuff that has words in it as well. But there's a particular line of their work that's more focused on silent comics and what I call poetics of form, abstract comics, stuff like that. And so those are what I'm snatching up from them and really, really enjoying. I really also enjoy that there's like this consistent design aesthetic they have where they have these yellow stripes on their books, but then that's always being played with in some way to relate to the content of the book. So here, you see the lines getting stripped out. Here it's more folding. I just think that the line of books itself is really well designed and superbly produced and amazing art. So these new two that I got, this is Mandoline by Pia Melissa LaRoche. This one is less abstract. It has a lot of abstract moments in it, but I would say it's more surreal. But it has the same kind of interest in transmutation of form that the other books have. So you can see that what this is almost like one big stream of consciousness, where here on the previous page, you've had this thing crawling around and it goes into all of these grapes and everything gets squished into wine. Then it crawls out of the wine and plays in the flower field. And just there's a lot of grid in here, but then a lot of grid being broken for awesome compositional purposes. And it's just now it's going to move on to a hand, and then the hand becomes the main character. So there's just always kind of these transitions happening. There's always threads happening between everything that carries this story forward. But you just get a lot of really, really playful, beautiful compositions, a lot of amazing imagery, and I don't think this is something that the artist pre-planned out. It really feels like something that was done one panel or one page at a time, and just letting the mind wander through all these transmutations. And like I said, this one's not abstract. Obviously, they have it's not non-representational in the way that the other ones are. There is a lot of really nice drawing of figures and stuff as well, and these shells and things. But then you get these pages like this where even though there are recognizable forms or objects in here, it really still is just focused on the abstract nature of the compositions, how the checkerboard's interrelating across the panels. It's just that visual play with form, connecting things across panels, things like that. So very kind of standard of this line of books that they're putting out. But the interesting thing is they're finding artists that are doing this to different levels of abstraction and representation. So this one I think is the most realistic or representational one so far that I've seen, but it has everything that I want from these books in it, which is an awesome combination. Then the other book I got is Parallelisme by Nicholas Nady. I don't know how to pronounce it, so excuse me for my can barely speak English properly pronunciations of things. Nicholas's work was in the previous batch of things that I reviewed. Nicholas is very much pure poetics of form, even though things, you can tell what they are in terms of the geometric shapes that they're representing. It's just a beautiful understanding of design on display in this work, a beautiful sense of animation happening, a beautiful sense of formal translations. And I think when I say poetics of form, Nicholas Nady's work is some of the best that I've seen. This is a 150-page some odd book, I think, and it's all one series of transformations just constantly spilling out. So, and again, I think this is probably made up page by page, but the structural integrity of any given page as a meta composition as well as a series of panels is just so masterfully done. It's so beautiful, and also it sets you up for some perceptual trickery where you can see the meta composition of the whole page as one single image, and it kind of all of the tangents between the panels and where things line up and whatnot, how things play out on the grid here, It's really can be like a strain to perceive it as a panel by panel transition, but you can follow things like that. And so you're in this constant back and forth, perceptual back and forth of attention that is really, really interesting to experience. But if you follow it panel by panel, you get this thing that folds out, then sinks down to become stairs, and finally the stairs disappear, and then this big piece pushes up out of there. And as the big piece pushes up, it gets thicker, and then you see like some diagonals start showing up, and then here like some of those pieces start dropping down, a little cut opens up and folds back, and then you see that this is actually a band of something that's like maybe being exposed or running behind it, but you can perceive it as like 5 of these things with a band running behind it, or you can perceive it just as one at a time, and then the black breaks up and starts pushing forward. And so there's just all of this real kind of perspective dimensional trickery that's taking advantage of not only the two-dimensional nature of working in a flat picture plane, but also adding in the complication of bifurcating your page into many panels, and then the kind of like depth associations and tangents, as things are on the same diagonals or whatever, the way that your mind is going to group things. So there's a lot of gestalt grouping principles at work here. It's for people who are interested in just pure design, pure formal design. That's why I call it the poetics of form. This is one of the coolest things ever. Here's another page where it's just this slow rotation of a thing, just kind of flipping through and giving some of the images here. Pages, these big spreads like this are really wild too, because you're kind of tempted to try and read it page by page, but then you can also read it across. So there's a lot of decisions being made by the reader, which is nice. The production on these are phenomenal. They're, just absolutely beautifully produced, and Nade uses these mechanical tones. I don't know if these are all hand cut out or if this is all done in Illustrator and Photoshop or something, but there's all these different mechanical tones, these textures and stuff that go into the book that just really color it. Even though it's in black and white, it feels very finished. It doesn't feel like a black and white drawing that needs to be filled in. It's absolute perfection. I like this page too. Like, fuck, man, this is such a crazy. This whole thing here, everything about this is amazing. I could not recommend these books more. They're gorgeous. I would love to see this artist work in color. I think that would be even crazier. And then I don't think this is any spoil, since it's not really a story, but at the end of the book, the artist also creates a loop where you kind of get like this eyeball looking shape coming, and then it's cut out, and you get the first page here coming through these cutouts, and then that turns into it's being fed onto the machine and being printed, and you get to see the first however many pages of the book spread out. So you can see that the artist is also viewing this thing as a totality. There's like a rhythm to the totality that's being paid attention to, and there's just that fun meta thing. And then it's being all put into a box here. So like here it's being compiled and packaged and then sent to you like a letter almost, and then that brings you back to the beginning. So this book is a loop in and of itself. And it's just, to me, I know this seems like such a strange thing to be lauding as one of the best comics of the year, but this thing is an absolute masterpiece. And I think whether you want stories in your comics or not, just anyone who wants to get better at designing a page and visual storytelling, and how you can do all of this stuff like in Mandoline. This is all done but with figures as well. It's just having it done with such simple forms really highlights how the techniques work, and I think it's an absolute masterclass in composition and form and design. So really excited by this line of the Éditions Matîère, and we'll definitely be buying anything else that they put out, and especially anything else that Nicolas Nade does.
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.